I was really surprised and a little confused that I saw all of these college students carrying these big signs that said, "In the Fed, in the Fed, in the Fed." And apparently there's a book called that, "In the Fed." And I just wondered, what on earth does this mean, and is this something that you agree with? We'll begin with Mr. Still.
When I first produced the Money Masters, after the first cut, I wanted an economics professor to take a look at it to be sure I wasn't too far off. So I said, okay, I've been a reporter all my life. I knew how to get in touch with professors. You call the university press office. I said, I'm going to shoot for the moon. I'm going to go for Milton Friedman. Make a long story short, he looked at the first cut. He calls me back and says, boy, if you end the Fed and don't do anything about fractional reserve lending, you've done nothing. That's really important. It's not the Fed. The Fed is just the curtain, hiding, making it look like that the Fed, the government, is controlling the banks. The Fed is not part of the government. The Fed is part of the banks. You have the fox in control of the chicken house. It's not the Fed. It's the banks. You have to take back the monetary power from the banks. And just to correct something, Article 1, Section 8 does not refer to constitutional money. That's a prohibition only on the states. Article 1, Section 10 is what we need to look at. 2, 1.
Mr. Harris.
Very well said, Mr. Still. I agree with a lot of what he just said. And as president, I will, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, I will audit the Federal Reserve first. And the reason why I say audit is because the American people have a right to know what's been going on with their monetary policy and with their money, even though, as Mr. Still pointed out, it's being done through, what is essentially private bankers. So I want to audit that first, and then that way the American people will see what's going on, and there will be a drastic call in support for then ending the Federal Reserve. We have to show them what's been going on with their money. We have to show the American people that they are getting robbed blind, and I think the way that we do that is by having the Department of Justice, under the most libertarian Attorney General ever, going in and investigating the Federal Reserve, and then we will go ahead and, like I said, as president, I will end the Federal Reserve System and restore a sound monetary policy.
Mr. Pearson.
I'm going to take my right as a lawyer not to answer the question directly, but to give you something else that's related to it. That's the way we duck the issue. And that is that the cost of higher education, as you know, is maybe $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year. But actually, that isn't the cost. I owned a school for 18 years at the postgraduate level. The cost of instruction is $1,000 a year if you have no regulation. Think of that. You deregulate higher education, and you can eliminate this major problem that preempted or precipitated this question about the students saying ending the Fed. No, you have to end the regulation of higher education.
Mr. Johnson.
I would end the Federal Reserve if given the chance, but that's Congress giving me the chance to end the Federal Reserve. What we need to do is stop printing money. If we ended the Federal Reserve tomorrow, Treasury would still print money, just like they did before they had a central bank, and just like other countries in the world print money that don't have a central bank. What we need to do is bring about full transparency to the Federal Reserve, which ending the Federal Reserve brings about. In lieu of not ending the Federal Reserve, we need to audit the Federal Reserve. We need strong U.S. dollar policies, not weak U.S. dollar policies. And when you get to the Federal Reserve's mandate, which originally was price stability, which was a strong U.S. dollar, coupled now with what I think are weak dollar policies, which is full employment, do you have us in the situation right now of zero interest rates? And why do we have zero interest rates? Because we're on the verge of a monetary collapse.
Mr. Keller.
Well, I agree with that last statement. We are on the verge of a monetary collapse. But I want to ask you something. If we are of the frame of mind of auditing the Fed, who came up with the rules and the approaches for auditing in the first place? How are we going to audit these bankers if they already know how to hide everything? I agree with Bill. We need to end the Fed. We need to end fractional reserve lending. We need to get the banks out of the money-creating business. Without that, we're going to be with $30, $40 trillion worth of debt in before you know it. So that's it.
Mr. Wright, you have the last word.
Well, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but my monetary's already collapsed. So has yours. Your money's worthless. Now, ending the Fed is a punchy thing to say these days. Every politician that wants to get elected to something is going to say it. But a president can't say it because he can't do it. And I won't stand before you seeking the highest office in this land and lie to you and tell you I can do something that I can't. The Fed is a aberration, if you will, of Congress. Only Congress can take it away. What I would do is support and lobby for repealing all legal tender laws. Return precious metals to the currency market where they belong, and it wouldn't be long that the Federal Reserve would go away because nobody wants money that's worthless. It's not worth the money. It's not worth the paper it's printed on. They'd rather have hard money, something that's actually worth something. So that would be my solution.